probably have the most volunteers of any PC campaign in the province of Ontario. And, that's a great credit to you and to all of you friends from different backgrounds and communities. What we all have in common is that we are all proud Canadians and we all want a better future for our children. As I mentioned when I was here last time, I'm from Western Canada, but originally from Toronto, but grew up here and then lived in the West. But I'm a Canadian, and as a Canadian, I know that for us to have a strong Canada, we must have a strong Ontario. And as I've said, for 140 years, Ontario was the leader of Canada's economy. But for the past few years, it has become, for the first time ever, a have-not province. What does that mean? It means that for 140 years, Ontario was contributing more to Canada nationally than it was taking from the federal government, until about 6 years ago, when suddenly Ontario started contributing less than other provinces and became, in relative terms, one of the poor provinces in Canada. How could that have happened? How could that have happened to such a dynamic province with such natural resources, with such talented and hardworking people? It could only have happened through weak leadership, through unfocused leadership, through leadership of this provincial government, which has been more concerned about its ideological obsessions than with actually the standard of living of Ontarians. When we talk about ideological obsessions of the Liberals, I have to say I'm a little bit shocked to learn that the provincial Liberal government intends to impose a sex ed curriculum on little children, 6, 7, 8-year-old children, with some pretty radical ideas that most of you probably would not be comfortable as parents or grandparents teaching your children at home when they're 6 or 7 years old. And the Liberal curriculum says that parents won't have the right to remove their children from those programs, and that these things should be taught without even informing parents. What is so terribly, where did they come up with these ideas? And why would we elect people who have no respect for the values of our families, of our communities? You know, it actually says in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, in Article 13, that it is a right for parents for families to be able to have access to primary education that is consistent with the conscience of the parents. It's considered a right for parents to be able to educate their children in a manner consistent with their own tradition. It is not a right for the government or for bureaucracies to teach children something that parents or families find completely inappropriate. And I just think this is another reflection, just as Dalton McGuinty decided to massively raise hydro prices, reducing the disposable income of families to pay for his fancy ideological ideas about windmills and everything else that are uneconomic. While he's doing that, raising your hydro rates, he's also willing to force families to put their children, young children, into programs that their parents object to. And I know that Pam, I know Tim Hudak, I know that their colleagues believe that parents must be consulted and respected in the decisions of how their children are educated. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome again.
Thank you again.
Brampton.
Cheers.
You have been rooting for the party, and very well said, and you're a South Asian household name by now, this I can fairly say. But a couple of your candidates didn't show up for the Punjabi Press Club debates. Any particular reason that you know of?
No, I don't. You know, I assume that they were having other campaign functions or activities. You know, I can tell you that as a candidate myself, I'm not able to make it to all the debates in my own constituency because there are so many competing priorities. But I understand you were there.
Oh yes, he was.
Yes.
She was, and yesterday 2 were motions, so you had a person. Dalton McGuinty had a 75% absence. Only one candidate showed up, so I'll give you that.
Okay.
Best of luck in days to come.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for visiting us.
Thank you. Thanks.